Hi, Charles. It's Sharath from Texila. Thank you for trial today. Welcome to Texila University graduation ceremony. So, Charles, we have a few questions for you today.
That's okay.
So, let me start with the program, right? So, you have done your PhD in public health with Texila American University. What were your motivations or inspiration to do a PhD in public health?
Well, I think it's been a long time coming. Right from time, my dream is to ensure that I take my academics to the very apex.
Right.
And of course, having a PhD is one of those ways I feel that, I'm going to achieve that.
Okay.
So that was one of the propelling force that made me to say, look, I'm going to ensure that I do a PhD. And again, a PhD right now is one of the requirements. In fact, it's a mandatory requirement, that you have to have in my country for you to be a lecturer. And it's my dream to be a lecturer.
Wonderful. And for in terms of choosing, you have decided to do your PhD. Why did you choose Texila for doing your program?
Okay, while I was searching, I tried to search so many institutions, and I discovered that Texila have the very best platform for me. Number one is that it's online, and these days, learning is global. So yeah, at this school that is not online for sure, it's not prepared for that flexibility to afford you what you want to be able to acquire the knowledge that you need. So that was one of the ways. And again, Texila has a very good faculty, especially the academic faculty.
Wonderful. And if you could remember, what critical research or leadership skills did you develop during your PhD program?
Okay, so much leadership, especially in terms of public health. A lot of leadership programs, that we were taught, and for sure those leadership programs helped us a lot, ensuring that we're able to, interact with our community, we're able to lead the people, where we work, to ensure that we have a teamwork, because when you have an objective, for sure you need that leadership factor to be able to achieve whatever goals that you've set for yourself.
Wonderful. And if you could think about the research, coursework, or academic experience had a major impact on your growth, which one would you consider?
I will pick the research.
Okay.
The research, because before now, although I have some knowledge about research, but going through Texila kind of broke probably my horizon.
Right.
In terms of research, the step by step, the inculcate the knowledge into us was quite great. And looking at the research I did, especially the research on the emergency medical response, because that was the knowledge gap in my country, going around everywhere, I just discovered that when you have emergency, and you find that there are prompt responses almost in most developed countries, but in my country, Nigeria, I find that was deficient. And I was actually thinking about that, and I was saying, how can we get that to solve? So using Texila platform, having the knowledge, the skills that I acquired during my research was able to help me to achieve that. And I can tell you that even now, the problem is being gradually looked into.
Wonderful. And what about the faculties and the supervisors? How did they support in your academic journey?
Okay, there are a lot of times when you just there, at times you want to say, look, it's getting a bit tough.
Right.
But you have a very good, faculty that all the time they try to encourage you.
Right.
Yeah, in whatever way. In fact, before you even come up with problem, they want to inquire. If you have any issue, let us know. Whatever issue, they are always there to ensure that those issues are sorted out so it doesn't have a negative impact on your learning capacity.
Wonderful. And in terms of how did basically your PhD enhance your contribution to the public health in Nigeria?
Okay, like I said previously, one of my primary goals is to ensure that I be a lecturer.
Right.
So having a PhD degree is one of the basic requirements that you must have to lecture. And again, having a PhD will help that development of capacity, capacity building, to be able to enhance,
Right.
my knowledge, to be able to interact with the with the society. Because the main thing of having a PhD is to see that you're able to, solve problems, overcome challenges, and of course, you need that knowledge to be able to do that.
And in terms of the challenges, what were the challenges that you faced during your studies, and how were you able to overcome them, and how was Texila being a part of the solution?
Okay, one of the challenges I had was actually when I was doing my research. Because of the socioeconomic deprivation in the society, which is actually abundant in most of the developing society. Nigeria is it's not excluded. You find that when you want to tell people that they should partake in research, one of the things that they want to say right there is, oh, if you don't give us money, we're not going to partake in it. And of course, in terms of ethics, you can't do that. That's number one. Then number two, even if you say you want to do that, you don't have the wherewithal to be able to do that. How many thousands of people are you going to be able to induce? You can't even do that. It's not something you can do. And so that was a great factor. Especially, again, we have this issue of insecurity in Nigeria. So high. With the advent of Boko Haram, so many people are afraid of, you want to travel from one place to the other. To even travel is difficult, but again, you have to do it. Especially, you have to get to the hard to reach area, because this is a research that was already structured. So you need to get to those hinterlands to be able to ensure that you're able to get the necessary information and data that you are going to synthesize together. So those were great challenges. And I think Texila helped a lot because we have the local guide, and those local guides were able to help us with some resources within our own domain that were able to help out.
All right. And finally, what message would you like to share with the future PhD students?
Well, I want to say I will encourage them to ensure that they focus on their studies, and they ensure that they make use of all the available resources.
Right.
With Texila, ensuring that they make a whole lot of communication with both the academic and non-academic staff, and of course their local guide too. They should make use of their local guide. I'm very sure that they're able to do that. Then one thing that I see that they talk about, complain about a lot is finance. And I say that since the finance is structured, it's not something that you want to pay at once. You can structure it out and pay, bit by bit. With that, they should be able to achieve their goal.
Right. Thanks so much for your time.